Welcome, everyone. Film Threat on a Friday. It's the Film Threat Livecast. I am Chris Gore. I will be joined momentarily by Alan Ng. Today on the show, we're just talking movies. Lots of movie reviews of films opening in theaters. That's right. We have I.S.S. Founders Day, a new horror film. Origin from director Ava DuVernay. Plus, Double Down South. Queen Rock Montreal, which is now in release in IMAX. Plus, Sunrise, little independent film from Lionsgate. Plus, a little preview of the Sundance and Slamdance film festivals. We're going to talk about some of the Slamdance movies that are playing. We have an interview with Chris Jericho that just ran on the Film Threat Interviews channel. You need to check that out, along with Lucy Lawless. Both of them have movies playing at Slamdance. Well, there you go. Okay, plus your chat, comments, and questions as usual. Let's get the show going. Let's start. I have not had any coffee, so this is going to be very interesting how things go. I have 2 cups of coffee preloaded, ready to go. So let's go. Where is my partner in crime? He's never here on time. That's not what I was thinking.
Prepare her for our pleasure.
Nope.
Alan!
Hey, man.
Yeah, I just love being reminded every morning how pretty I am.
It's so funny whenever that's our producer Glenn Brown who does those videos, but whenever he does them, you always are the woman. it's I don't know why, it always ends up that way. It's funny. I love it. Well, we saw a lot of movies. It's January.
Yeah.
Movies are out.
I was at my local theater last night and just talking to the guys working there and just lamenting. I go, it's gonna be a rough month, and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a rough month.
Maybe not until Argyle, I think. Oh,
yeah.
Are you from Film Threat, Alan Ng?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was on a Legal Mindset yesterday.
Here's what I think every time I see you on another show that isn't the Film Threat Livecast. I think that's great. I love listening to Alan talk. Why is he not working on the new D-Files? He's got to be working on it.
Oh my gosh.
No, it was great.
Which is preceded by the conversation of, you should do more podcasts. You should join other people. You should be guests on other people's podcasts.
No, I'm joking, obviously, but you were great. So Alan appeared, I think, on 2 podcasts. You were on Legal Mindset, Andrew's channel. He's an attorney. He actually lives in South Korea.
No, he lives in Bangkok, Thailand.
Bangkok. Okay, I thought he was in Korea for a bit.
Probably.
He's mentioned it, but well, there you go. So you were on his show and it went like 2 hours. It was a really good conversation. Yeah. He's coming at it from a different perspective, from a legal perspective. Really interesting. So check out Alan's interview on Legal Mindset. We'll share that on the community tab, right?
Yeah. And then I was on Midnight's Edge in the morning because I thought you were drunk and couldn't make it.
I was not drunk. I mean, I was the night before.
You were hungover, yeah.
When I was hungover from the Critics' Choice Awards, so I was late. And I told them, I said, I'm going to be late on Monday. So there you go.
Yeah.
But
then they send me a link and say, hey.
But I do feel like you're cheating on Film Threat when you're on other shows. I do feel that, Alan.
Yes. And then you'll say, hey, but you should do other shows.
Well, yeah, you should do other shows that have a different audience that crosses over with our audience. Maybe we'll get some new people.
Yeah. And if this isn't conclusive proof that we're married, I don't know what is.
Oh my God. All right. Hey, a real quick reminder for everybody. We're doing an extra live stream next week. It'll be Tuesday, January 23rd. Alan and I are getting up at an ungodly hour. I think like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh dear.
The show starts, I think, at 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Eastern. We will be watching the announcement of the Oscar nominees. It'll be like, I don't know, maybe 90 minutes show. We're gonna do a little pre-show where Alan and I are kind of waking up. Then we're gonna watch it with you. So we'll actually have it on the screen. You can see it with us. And we're gonna just react live to the Oscar nomination announcements. That's Tuesday, January 23rd, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Eastern. And we might have some special videos that will be playing
with the announcement of your Oscars nominees. Here are your very tired hosts, Alan Ng and Chris Gore.
And for those of you asking if that's AI, I'm pretty sure we actually got Morgan Freeman to voice that. That's the actual Morgan Freeman doing that.
Yeah, and we flew him out to the Graham Norton set to film that.
We absolutely did. Yes, that's what we did. Hey, let's go through your comments and questions here before we kick it off with our very first review, which is going to be I.S.S. Look at this. New members. Trish Page became a member. Hey, Trish. NGH21 became a member, and Red French Moon. Thank you so much. Excellent. Also, Castigan sends in 199 pounds, says Mexican Batwoman on Blu-ray in March. Oh, that's great. I know about that movie. I'm gonna get the Blu-ray. So there you go. Dr. Gonzo, who's a member, says, hey everyone, got my new Film Threat Flash Gore shirt. Oxblood Black is actually a nice deep burgundy. Love it. Sons, thank you, Dr. Gonzo. Sons and Shadows, who's a member. So, who got on the pool pre or post coffee, Chris, this morning? I am pre-coffee. So, yeah, it was, I was just rushing around and had some camera problems. Wizard Shack, snow day here in Gotham City, New Jersey. You know what? Perfect weekend to just stay indoors and watch football all weekend. I'm going to be watching the division playoff games in the NFL. My Detroit Lions are in the game. I'll be wearing my lucky socks. I have Detroit Lions socks. And yeah, I'll be watching the game on Sunday. I think it's at noon. In any case, I'll be watching it. It's a good day to stay indoors. I might actually go to might trek up to the 35er to watch the UFC fights. UFC getting interesting. Does it seem like Chris's camera is tilted?
Yeah, it actually does.
Is it tilted?
It feels, well, no, if you look at your background, you can kind of see it. It feels like it's gonna fall over to the left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do they call that? When you used to watch episodes of the 1966 Adam West Batman TV series, they would do this thing where each villain's lair, they would tilt the camera to make it look villainy or comic booky, and they called it Dutch angles. And the reason is apparently Dutch carpenters are not great at angles. And so it's jokingly referred to. I'm sure you could come up with a way to make that racist, but Dutch angles is like a term they use in film where it's just like something is, yeah. You know what? We're just going to keep
and that's what you were going for. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I'm going for that. That's what I don't know. I had trouble with my camera this morning and I had to reset it. It's a long story. Not even worth talking about. Here we go. Keeping on with this. First time I've been able to watch live. Glad to be back, says Toby Pegram. Well, thank you, Toby. We appreciate it. Toby. And John Manley, Chris needs to be the chick in some of these videos. Equality. We're just going to keep going with the way that it is. I think we're just going to keep that. This is a note to Glenn. If Glenn Brown is watching this, I love what you're doing. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. From Rumble.
I would say this: if the actress has massive boobs, make it Chris.
Fair. I'll take that. Ololi Akwi says, seriously, you made my year with that new clip. Oh, well, thank you. Suns and Shadows. Come on our show, Alan, Chris. Meh. Kidding. I do shows sparingly, but I get so many invitations to be on other shows. And I can't.
Yeah. And let's just say
What
some of
can I
those
say?
people reach out and say, hey, Chris suggested you
Right.
to be on my show.
Yeah, because I don't want to do other shows. It's really comes down to a time thing. It's really not that I don't want to do it. It's time. I am very and this is the thing that people don't understand about. I take what I do really seriously, even though I goof around a lot. And I work between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's like my window. It's like I get my lunchbox, I pack my thermos, I go and I punch in, and between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. I'm working, and then I try to be done before 5 if possible. But I take what I do seriously.
Well, same with me. It's like I have a family that needs me, but at the same time, we just dropped the last D files, and be great to talk about it.
Yes, no, I agree. But your family, they'll understand.
Yeah, they've been understanding for a very long time.
Well, at least they get to go to like fun things.
Yeah,
you've got your +1.
Yeah.
Worked out. Highline says, from Disney to the D-Files, an Alan Ing journey. Infamous. Oh, I like that. Infamous. Let's use that now. Infamous, right? As an East Coaster, I will enjoy you both getting up that early, says Heinlein. Hey, join us. We're just going to be watching. They actually stream it. I think it's on YouTube or the website. We'll figure it out. But
it'll be Good Morning America, and then it'll be streaming on
we're not going to stream Good Morning America. They actually, from the Oscars website, they actually just have a video that plays.
Yeah.
We're going to play that video, and you and I will just react, and then we'll go through the list after and hang out with us, Heinlein. I just watched the trailer for Molly and Max in the Future, says Davina Duckworth.
Yeah, I saw that one.
We just got the screener for it.
Yeah, I actually saw it in Dallas last year when I infamously fell out of my chair. And,
oh my God, that's right. Oh wow.
Yeah. But one thing of note about Molly and Max in the Future is it's an indie film, very much an indie film, and the director had access to the volume for a week, and he made good use of his limited time with the volume, and it's in the film.
So we are getting the filmmakers on the show. I believe the Molly and Max in the Future comes out February 9th, Friday.
Yes.
The filmmakers are going to be on the show. I'm arranging it right now.
All right, great.
That's pretty cool. From Rumble, Ololi
Akwi.
See, now I can't.
Ololi Akwi. Ololi.
I voted for Simple Jack. Yes, Oscar nominated. Hey, 6 Foot Saka for 199 says, stopping by for a quick hi, and Alan
69.
Thank you for the super chat. Chris, you planning to go to Dragon Con this year, says Razorburn. Already got my ticket. Already got my hotel room. I'm going to be at one of the hotel rooms. One of the hotels, the host hotels. So I am going to Dragon Con. I will see you there. Hey, the nerd far away. Chris, you look fabulous from any angle. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, nerd far away. Alan Horkin, sparingly, Chris on Nooner every week, and many more. Look, I have 2 other regular guest appearances that I am a regular on those shows. So I'm on Midnight's Edge of the Morning on Mondays, and I'm off camera because I'm working. I'm literally going through my email. I'm on Gary's show, The Nooner, on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, noon Texas time. Just going to call it Texas time. It's Central time, I know, but Texas time. So I'm on the Nooner every week. And part of that is like just to promote what we do to a different audience. And I like to add my perspective to those shows. They have a larger audience than Film Threat has. So it's nice to be able to go on there and say, hey, we're Film Threat. We do indie film stuff. So there you are. And Portland 182. Hey, Portland 182. Haven't heard from you in a while. Good to hear from you. I was not able to look on Wikipedia but I appreciate this. Dutch angles are from German expressionist directors working in the U.S. and Deutsch being mispronounced. I always thought it was Dutch angles. Deutsch, like Deutschland,
Yeah, Deutsch
Germany.
angles, basically.
Deutsch angles. I've always heard it pronounced Dutch angles. Sorry, Portland 182, but whatever. We're just going to go with it for today. I'm not going to stop the show to adjust my camera. From Rumble, Lord Shax, kind of a movie-related comment here. I'm not going to be buying a new TV for a long time. There really isn't anything worth watching. I wonder how many other industries are being affected by this. I'm not sure. Alan?
Yeah, and he has a
thoughts?
second comment too that kind of follows up on this one. Yeah, sorry, there it is. I wonder how many other industries are affected by this horrible current day TV content. I'll just say this: I bought that TV for video games. I didn't buy it for TV. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I just think that the industry will be cut in half. And it's a self-inflicted wound by Hollywood. And it's sad to see.
Yeah.
Sad to see.
Yeah. No,
okay.
And from the T-Files, I'll say I think the animation industry is going to take a big nosedive. And
oh, you think so?
I think so. From what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and I just want to point out for a second, for those of you, I always change something in my background. I always change something subtle. Like after the show, I kind of make like a quick little change or whatever. And I change something about my background. And maybe you can notice that right behind me, right here, that is a Panderstone. And it was sent to me by a gentleman who makes them on Etsy. And I thought I had the link. Do I have the link? I don't have the link. I had the link. It was right there. Oh, there it is. So the Panderstone is actually, you can get it, a light up 3D printed Panderstone right out of that episode of South Park. And it's like $29.99. So I promised I would plug it. And there it is. It's a beautiful Panderstone right from South Park. You could be, give it to the Kathleen Kennedy in your life. So there you go. No,
I'm just saying we all have one. We all have one.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, couldn't believe how cheap it was when I looked it up. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, so I have a Panderstone, and so can you.
Is yours lit up right now?
It is lit up.
Okay.
So
very nice.
There you are. Okay, let's get into it, Alan. We got and there's something else I want to talk about. We'll talk about film festivals when we get to that.
Yeah.
But it's time to talk about I.S.S. Alan, what is the story of I.S.S.?
Well, if you've seen the trailer, you know the story of I.S.S. A crew of two, featuring Ariana DeBose as Dr. Kira Foster and Chris Messina as Gordon Barrett. They are making their way to the International Space Station to meet the third member of their crew, as well as their another trio, their Russian counterparts. They arrive and everything's nice, everything's cordial, everyone's having a good time for the sake of humanity. And then all of a sudden, looking out at the beautiful Earth below, it starts to light up, and you can kind of see it in the background there. And what we find out is, well, what we figure out is that there's an incredible nuclear war going on, and the Earth is being pummeled by nuclear weapons. And a message is sent to each of the crews on the International Space Station. The message is take it over. And so that's basically the plot of this movie is how will these Americans survive against a Russian team who also wants to survive, and at the same time follow the orders of their country. And that's what this movie's about.
Well, the message comes in and it's like, take the space station by any means necessary, which basically means murder. So these
So
scientists,
essentially, it's kind of like a Twilight Zone episode.
yeah, and what I do on the positive side, it's 95 minutes. It's a 95-minute thriller with a great setup. I mean, you meet like Dr. Kira Foster is up there, Ariana DeBose. She's the lead character, but they're drinking vodka, they're bonding. You find out there's actually a romance between Chris Messina's character and Masha Mashkova, the character Veronica. It's Veronica? That's a terrible Russian accent. Please forgive me. So they're having a romance. So when the orders are given, it's tense. Immediately, somehow communications go out, and someone has to. This is very 2001: A Space Odyssey inspired. Someone has to go out and check the communications antenna, which Chris Messina's character Gordon goes out to check the communications. Is something wrong on the outside of the ship? Nothing's wrong. It was a ruse, and the arm, the sort of helper arm, comes over and knocks him away.
In a gravity type situation going on.
Yeah, the entire movie takes place in zero gravity, both on the ship and outside, obviously. And I thought that was pulled off really well. Although sometimes I'm like, are they on wires? And then they just took the wires out, which is probably, I'm sure that's how they achieved all of that. They're not going up in the.
I want to talk about one trope that happens, and there's a point in the movie where the two women, the Ariana DeBose and then her Russian counterpart, they get together, and in the moment of in the spirit of female unity, they realize that they're surrounded by kind of toxic masculinity that wants to go to war, and it's up to the two women to save it. And I know you're rolling your eyes at the moment, but this moment happens maybe 20 minutes into the movie. It happens really early on, and I remember watching it going, this a moment I expected much later in the movie. This moment felt to me too early, and as much as you start rolling your eyes at this moment, you realize there's kind of a payoff to this, that it wasn't just there for virtue signaling, but there's actually a plot twist that occurs because of it. And but I think in terms of my overall opinion of the movie, it's like I didn't hate the movie. It just felt like a very basic Twilight Zone sci-fi episode. There's a bit of virtue signaling, but ultimately it plays out the way it should play out. It's a great setup, and it just kind of plays out. To me, there was nothing really remarkable about the movie. It's probably one of those where if you need something to watch on a Friday night or over the weekend, this is something that's good to just throw on and watch.
Yeah, no, look, the one thing I have to give this movie credit for is the runtime is tight, 95 minutes. The other thing is that they don't waste time. I mean, like all the things that, if you've seen the trailer, you know what happens in the first probably 30 minutes of the movie. We won't talk about spoilers for the last hour or so, but this movie moves at a clip. It doesn't waste any time. When they just pivot immediately, this next thing, another thing that they have to deal with. And then you see how this plays out between the two merged crews in the midst of basically watching the earth burn. At one point, they're like, close the windows, because they see half the earth is just engulfed in flames. I mean, everyone could be dead for all they know, right? So it's a race to take over the space station. So I thought that part was fun. And there is virtue signaling. One, the casting of Ariana DeBose as Dr. Kira Foster, because of who she is and her identity, and that she's the lead character, that nothing's going to happen to her.
What?
No. Am I wrong?
No, maybe something does happen to her. Maybe she dies at the end. Maybe.
I'm just saying that I'm tired of this stuff. And there's another point that I really rolled my eyes. Chris Messina's character Gordon is out on the ship, and it's like a tense moment. They're just trying to.
Can I reenact this scene? Can I?
Yes, please reenact. What scene I'm talking about?
Let me reenact this scene.
Yeah.
Chris Messina goes, "Oh yeah, I've been away from my family for several months. And I really miss them." And then he goes to to Ariana DeBose's character, what about your husband? And she goes,
Right.
she goes, oh, actually, I have a wife. And then Chris Messina character goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking. I need to do better. Oh my God.
I know.
Please don't turn me into HR.
I hated that. It takes place about the middle of the movie. It was so annoying. It was just like, oh, give me a break. The thing is this. Also, if you are going to be part of a crew and know someone, you probably would know your fellow astronauts, right? They'd send you a briefing about her, or you would have met over telecommunications. So the fact that he didn't know that was stupid. And the fact that he was so apologetic was lame virtue signaling. I mean, it's the most egregious moment of that in the film, but it did sort of like, I rolled my eyes. And then I said, they're definitely not going to kill her because, whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But it like the movie kind of stops. It's the worst part of the film. It's the moment like in it's the moment in the Batman. Remember in the Batman, which is like, we got to get these white privilege, like, and you're just like, oh God, shut up. Shut up.
Because the reality is you could have cut the scene, you could have cut those lines up and it wouldn't have
you didn't need it.
And it's that moment of lecturing. And you watch it or don't watch it. It didn't, it came, it went, and I just got back into the story. But it stood out to the point where we're talking about it. And we're talking about how much of an eye roll moment that was.
It was a cringe moment. You didn't need it. It doesn't add to her character. I already liked her.
We kind of got it. I
already liked her. There's a thing. Have you ever heard of this book called Save the Cat? The book Save the Cat is for screenwriters, and it talks about moments in movies where characters do small acts of kindness that endear you to that character. Literally in the movie Superman with Christopher Reeve, 1978, he saves a cat out of a tree. There are other moments in movies. I've read the book. It's a very good book, and it just tells you how to create a character and that an audience will find endearing. And she brings these mice up with her. So she's doing an experiment that has to do with organ transplants. She brings up these mice to execute the experiment, and something happens to the mice. And you see her they're just experimental mice. They're meant to, be used in the experiment. But the fact that she has an affection for the mice makes her character, Ariana DeBose, endearing. But yeah, that moment is just dumb. It stands out. It's eye rolling, and it's your modern filmmaking right there. Now, does it ruin the movie? No. It doesn't make the movie better either. So look, I would have cut it. You don't need to know about her. She is there. Whatever. Do we need to know the sexuality of every character? We kind of do, because every character declares one guy's got this family and kids, the white guy played by John Gallagher, his character's name is Christian. Like, he's got this kid, just wants to know about his kids and his family and what's going on. You've got the other Russians. They have family too. Gordon, has a wife and family as well. So like, they kind of make sure to check the box that everybody, here's your,
which is why I'll say, to acknowledge that she has a wife on Earth is fine, because everyone else is acknowledging the fact that they have families. But to kind of make it a lecture moment, that was my problem with it.
The lecture moment is the issue.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, they could have said something. Well, tell me about your wife on Earth. Oh yeah, blah blah blah, as opposed to making it that moment.
Yeah, but So I look, did I have a good time? Yeah. Is it a great movie? No, not by any means. But I do have to give it credit for restraint. It's 95 minutes. If you're looking for a fun thriller, I think this is really good in the theater. The views of Earth and whatnot look great. Some of the effects were okay. You could kind of see especially when they're inside the ship, it does look like sometimes they're just floating on wires, They pull it off pretty well. I do have to give them credit, but this movie is, for me, if I had to rate it, I give it like a 5 or a 6, which is like, a very mild recommendation, so it's not a strong recommend from me. Alan, how would you rate ISS?
I would give it a 6.5. This is like when I was a young adult and not married. We used to hang out at someone's house and we'd kind of wonder what movie do we want to watch. And we, apart from the big Hollywood stuff, it was like, let's see a little one. And this is probably one of those we might have put on.
Right. I mean, it's fine. And I can't say that I wasn't entertained. But I was expecting more from the second half of the film. So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's go to your chat comments and questions here, starting with a super chat, very generous from Bushin Ryu Cat for 20. Chris and Alan, I'm sorry I missed your Critics' Choice Awards coverage. I didn't know it took place. I was recovering from Golden Globes. What's next? Nick Awards and the Worst Movies Awards? Have you previewed Spaceman 4 on Netflix? I did see the trailer for Spaceman, which is Adam Sandler, and it's a serious movie about a guy on a long-range space mission that makes friends with an alien spider that talks. We will review.
You set this up as a serious movie.
It is a serious movie. It's not what I'm saying is, when I say Adam Sandler, you think comedy. This is not a comedy. And I mean, look, Adam Sandler legit does dramas,
Yeah. Uncut Gems. Yeah.
Uncut Gems is probably the best thing he's ever done in terms of a drama, but he makes, for the most part, dumb comedies. I saw the trailer, very interested. We will review Space. It's just weird. He doesn't know, are you really here? Is this in my head? So he's having having delusions as he's on this long-range space mission.
And this is not a comedy.
Not a comedy.
Okay.
Red French Moon for €2. Did they portray Russia well? I don't think the Russians in this movie are the bad guys. I think they're just the antagonists.
Yeah. No, I mean, it does a good job in setting themselves up as they're two teams of equals from different countries doing their job on the International Space Station. And when they are asked to take over by all means necessary, you do get the sense that these are scientists and maybe with a little bit of military training, some of them.
Yeah. So they're not portrayed as the bad guys. They're just, and the scientists, they're neutral. They're just like, hey,
they're there for science. Yeah.
We're here for science, love my country, but they're all friends. At the beginning, they're drinking vodka, but like in space, vodka comes, liquid is literally like these globs. You kind of have to. I went on the Vomit Comet. I've actually been on the Vomit Comet. I went to Austin, Texas, did the Vomit Comet where you experience zero gravity for a couple minutes. I felt sick. Probably not going to be a space traveler anytime soon. Bush and Ryu Cat goes on to say, breaking news, Japan Space Agency just now landed an unmanned probe on the moon, but it lost power. Send Godzilla. By the way, Godzilla -1 color, says Bush and Ryu Cat for 5. Yes, we are going to, I think that comes out in a week.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to talk about this one. It comes out next Thursday, next week, I think. Yeah. It's not playing in Orange County at all. And on that Thursday, it's in Palos Verdes and it's in Glendale. So I think that's how we're gonna have to see it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm definitely
Friday it goes to more theaters in LA, but on Thursday,
next Friday, by the way, next Friday we have a very special show. There is an IMAX screening of Dune Part 1 in theaters. They're showing I think it's a 15-minute preview of Dune Part 2. The last time they did this to promote Dune, they actually showed the first 10 minutes of Dune in the theater, and then I had a little preview. It was fantastic. We are doing a Dune special. It's a Dune special a week from today. Not only are we going to talk about Dune Part 1, we're talking about Dune Part 2. We'll talk about the footage that they showed. I'm going to review every bad Dune knockoff movie that's on Amazon Prime. I'm
Wow.
watching them. They're so bad. So we're doing a Dune special next week because really not much is coming out.
Okay.
But thank you, Bush and Ryuket. Latino Slant says, Gore, you're killing me with the woke watching. Oh, new segment soon to take over the cracker count. What do you mean woke watching?
Oh, it's the picking everything woke about a movie.
There was no lecture moment. It was in the course of a bigger conversation. Yeesh,
No.
says Paulie.
No, I performed the lecture moment.
The idea that the man, oh, I'm sorry, it's dude, you didn't, it had nothing. It's lame. It's lame. You know what? I already liked her character. You didn't need to explain to me that she had a wife.
Yeah.
Who cheated on her.
No, it was easy. Hey, I miss my family. Do you miss your wife on Earth? That's what the conversation could have been.
Look, I'm not the only one that gets annoyed by this stuff. It's modern filmmaking and whatever. It is definitely a virtue signal of this is how you're supposed to act when you hear that. So, all right. There you go. I guess Paulie won't be able to make our Oscars show. I'm really sad about that. Christian Toto asked me to be a part of the show. I initially told him I think we're full, but well, there you go. I'm sorry about that, Paulie. My apologies.
Oh man.
I love Paulie.
Make it one Paulie
I
barbecue.
love Paulie.
I mean, it's a one Paulie barbecue, and now you've just ruined it.
Yes, I want to remain on the barbecue invite list. So of course, Paulie and I bust each other's balls just texting between each other. Call sign Alucard for 499. Wonka comment W being illiterate really bugged me. Spent so much time implying she's great, but never teaching son to read and write. Makes a bad mom to me. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that tonight. By the way,
what's that?
Wonka.
Oh, cool.
It's National Popcorn Day today, so we're going.
Oh, is it free popcorn?
Yes.
No, it's unlimited refills, or is it free popcorn?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, okay.
I think it's unlimited.
It's a combination. It depends what theater you're going to.
Right. Chris Nicholson for 5. To be fair to the Adam Sandler movie, it sounds a lot like the plot of Project Hail Mary, and that book was both not a comedy and very entertaining. Yeah, it's not a comedy. From what I saw from the trailer, it looks like straight up sci-fi, and it's actually something of a twist on a Star Trek episode also. It's an interesting concept. Thank you, Chris Nicholson.
Yeah, but when you set up a movie by saying it stars Adam Sandler, he's in space and he thinks he's talking to a spider.
Right.
How is that not a comedy?
Right. The Nerd Far Away says, even though I'm a sucker for space movies, I may have to pass on this one. Fair. I mean, you could also see it when it comes to VOD. I appreciate saving the $10 not seeing this one, says Michael Seagriff. Oh, thank you. Well, we'd like to save money. SP of the North, take over the space station because all the people we depend on below for support, food, air, water, fuel are all dead. Wait, why are we fighting for this thing again? Yeah, I wish they went into more detail. They just get this message. It's one message and then communications go out.
No, but they explain why it was so important. There is a reason why there's a key on the ship that kind of resolves what's going on down on the planet, and it is semi-plausible.
Yeah, it's just
they cover that. They're not, the writer here is not completely stupid.
Hilariously awful productions for 5. We had the same woke convo last night on my stream. It's completely Hollywood's fault that audiences notice / score movies based on wokeness completely.
Yeah. So it's so thrown into your face in every movie you watch that when you see it in a different movie, no matter how small it is, it stands out like a sore thumb.
You just don't need it. Just tell a story. I already liked this character. She was nice to the mice. Tom Siebert, in space, nobody can see you cringe. Well, you could see me if you were sitting next to me. One Punch Man Tolkien fan says Gary was right about this movie. Yep.
What do you say about it?
I probably said it was. Sometimes you can just tell by the casting. I just think the casting is lazy. We were talking about this letter or the emails we've been getting regarding the WGA,
Yeah.
and one of the things that's going around Hollywood, one of the things that they talk about in development rooms in Hollywood, they say this phrase out loud: "Male and pale is stale."
Mhm.
Think about that for a second. Male and pale is stale. And there does seem to be an inordinate amount of uh certain types of people cast in films.
Yeah.
Always at the center. And that changed like that. And it's like every movie and every TV commercial you see. And look, I just think it's tired and lazy. So we've gone from male and pale is stale to another thing that's just dominant and kind of boring.
Yeah.
I just think it doesn't have to be every, you know what I'm talking about. Alan, it's better if you say it.
Male and pale is stale.
No,
Male
I
and
mean,
pale is stale. Male and pale is stale. Let me. So there was a comment on our website about the article, and this person posts a article from UCLA, and the article from UCLA basically states that in the last 2 years, he goes, "What are you guys talking about men, white males not being not dominating the writing industry?" Then posts an article from UCLA that says that basically goes through and says of the past 2 years, the top performing movies were written by white males. This person probably didn't realize what they were saying, but let's think about it for a second. The top performing movies over the last 2 years were written by
it kind of proved our point. It proved our point. It's like but this is, yeah. I just think that there is, I'm going to get into this later when we talk about Origin.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it later.
I can only imagine.
And here we go. Gringo Gore Fragility. Paulie now FT banned. You're not banned, Paulie. You're not banned. You know I'm teasing you.
I know.
I just want to we can have this conversation. I'm an adult. I don't care. And I will have this conversation in a way where I don't give a shit what people think. So there you go. You're not FT banned. We love you, Paulie. Subscribe to Latino Slant and go to thelatinoslant.com. Male and pale don't fail.
According to UCLA, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. MK Solid 82, A24 is making limited action figures for Iron Claw next month.
So I saw
that's cool.
I saw on a set.
I may have to get those.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, MK Solid 82. Olo Lee Akui. What year is I.S.S. set in? Because I can't accept it unless it's set in the 80s. No, it seems like present day.
Yeah, near future.
Near future or present day. And James Petquits says, I saw I.S.S. last night. It's a really cool concept. The movie was pretty meh. There, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I mean, literally the first half of the movie, I'm like, oh, I'm riveting.
Yeah.
And then that moment took me out, and then it's just started to get dumb. So there you go.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about sci-fi. Oftentimes they're great setups, and it just can't stick the landing. And we see that a lot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, we're going to pivot and talk about another film here. Before we do, since we have over nearly 700 people watching us live, join us on Tuesday, January 23rd. Alan and I are getting up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m. We're going to be doing a live stream, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. We will be reacting live to the Oscar nominees. Join us next Tuesday. So it's a bonus live stream. And someone would like to tell you.
With the announcement of your Oscars nominees, here are your very tired host, Alan Ng and Chris Gore.
And I have pajamas that are just like that with the little cap.
So we don't have to wear the tux.
We do not have to wear. Well, I'm not going to wear a tux to get up at that early. Heck no. So
I like how he says my name too.
yeah. All right. Hey, we've got a bunch of other films to review. So let's pivot here. And Alan, would you tell us about this movie, which there's a movie I've seen that Alan hasn't. There's a movie Alan has seen that I have not. Sunrise is out. Alan, tell us about Sunrise.
Okay, so it's from Lionsgate. The movie takes place kind of, I think it's the Pacific Northwest, very cold, wintry, cold forest area. Opens with there's a Chinese family who just moved there.
What, Alan? Oh no, Alan froze. Or I froze. Hello. Alan.
Hello, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going
All right,
on.
tell your family they can't use the internet for the
Yeah,
next
I know.
90 minutes.
Well, so where was I? What was the last thing I said?
Why don't you just start over,
Okay.
Glenn? Just clip it from here. We'll start over.
Okay.
Go from
So Sunrise.
Hey, Alan. Wait a sec. Hey, Alan. Let's start. Take two. Hey, Alan. Tell me about Sunrise.
Yeah, so Sunrise is a story that takes place out in the Pacific Northwest. A Chinese family has moved into a farm, and is just doing their thing. But Guy Pearce here plays the patriarch of a very racist family that's well known throughout the region. And they bring the father in and basically tells him that your kind is not wanted here. It's a conversation about blood, that your blood is not our blood, and so you need to leave. And he gives him a chance to hand over his land. And of course, being the proud people that the Chinese are, and we are, the father says no, and they kill him. And
Oh man.
and so now they're widowed, and now it's the mother, teenage son, young daughter. Teenage son is bullied at school because, of course, he's different, and so it kind of plays out that way. And then all of a sudden, this mysterious stranger comes out as the mother is being haunted by Guy Pearce's men to basically threaten her to leave. They show up with guns. They want to they want to basically beat her up. And then a mysterious man shows up, and through a series of events, he saves her, but he winds up getting injured. She brings the guy in to tend to his wounds, and we find out that he's a vampire, and that and the whole movie is about how this play between these two warring factions. And how the vampire kind of defends this family, and that's pretty much the movie. I don't know.
Let me just point out, Alan, there are Asians in this movie.
Yeah,
so
I
that
know.
means by default you like it already.
Yeah, I was very much up on the film from the very beginning.
Well, Paulie from Latino Slant, it's like anytime there's a Latino in any movie, he's like that meme where the guy's walking with the girl, but he's looking behind.
Yeah.
That's Paulie for anything Latino. He goes for that.
Yeah, but let's also call it the other reality is you can have a Latino movie, or you can have an Asian movie, but you can't have both. They can't be in the same movie together.
Yes, they can't be in the same movie together.
Exactly. And so certainly there are no Latinos in this movie. I walked away just kind of like, it's a vampire movie. It moves at a very vampire pace, very slow, very deliberate. You kind of know what's going on here. There's a mystery to this guy, how he became a vampire and why that's so relevant to this particular story that plays out throughout the entire film. And I don't know. It's like I'm watching it thinking, I really want to be wowed in some way. It just wasn't there. It just kind of comes and goes. Guy Pearce is, he's the best thing about the movie, of course. But I kind of, the ending is, was less than spectacular. That's pretty much my feeling of the whole film is, I expect more. I want more. And as much as I love Lionsgate, they can be hit and miss at times. And I think this one's a miss.
Okay, well, fair point. So do you recommend it?
No. I think, I'm really trying to get a handle on what the vampire genre really is, and I don't think that this is really nailing that down.
Well, I mean, I do like the fact that different vampire movies kind of rewrite the rules. They have their own rules. Sometimes it's kind of cool, like in True Blood. I kind of like the way that they set the rules up and did the world building. The show got ridiculous. True Blood. I watched every season of it. It got so ridiculous by the end. I just wanted it to be over. I think that's when a show goes 8 seasons, it's like, just get it over with, be done with it. I think that most series should probably not go past 5 seasons. You just don't need it. You don't need it.
Unless you have a really talented crew behind it, but that's
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I do like that they set up certain rules for the True Blood universe, and then the rules for vampires are different in the Twilight universe, right? Like, we can go out during the day, we sparkle. It's just kind of stupid. But the first Twilight movie is actually the one that is watchable. That's the one directed by Catherine Hardwicke. But other than that, it just gets, and look, I've seen all the Twilight movies. Okay. Yes, I'm admitting it. But they just get incredibly dumb. But I do like that genre evolves, right? Like you can play with the rules, but there are certain rules of how things work.
Yeah. But to me, it's the rules are fine, but there's a theme that has to come with vampire films that kind of binds it all together, other than immortality and a guy with fangs who drinks blood.
Okay, so you don't recommend it?
No.
All right, going to your comments. Epic Mike says, interesting. Ooh. Therosaurus Rex. The entire synopsis on Wiki for Sunrise is just a rural town is plagued by a vampire.
Plagued would be the problematic word in that description. I would never use the word plagued in this one.
And then Gunho Max says Vampasians.
Yes.
CD Stein 69. Oh geez, another white countryman bad movie with a supernatural twist. I'll pass. It is tired. It is a bit tired.
Especially when it's done over the top like this. Yeah.
Oh, James Davis says vampire movie coming out in April. Abigail trailer is awesome. I saw that trailer in the theater. She's a ballerina.
Yeah.
No, is that the ballerina one or a different?
That's the ballerina one. Yeah.
Okay.
Like they're locked in a mansion, and
they're locked in a mansion, and they turn out that
discover a little girl tied to a bed or something like
this
that.
little girl that they kidnapped is a vampire. It looks the trailer looks really fun.
Yeah, I will watch that one. But I don't know why they had to reveal she was a vampire.
Cavatino Cavalryman Shay says Asian and Latino movie. Isn't that a Filipino movie?
Yeah, that's actually
Alan?
true. that's probably a very accurate statement there.
Well, there you go. All right, thanks, Alan, for that.
Yeah.
Now it's time to pivot. Usually when we pivot, like sometimes we play a video. Why don't I just do that? I'm gonna play a dumb video. But let me just say about this video that I'm about to play. Okay. We got over 700 people watching us live. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We would love if you did that. But let me just say something. A lot of people have been talking about Echo, the TV show. A lot of people talking about Echo. I have some thoughts about Echo. What the fuck? It's a piece of shit. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Piece of shit. What the fuck? Piece of shit. What the fuck? Fuck shit. Fuck no shit. Fuck this show. 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 Fuck that shit. Fucking moron. Fuck this show. 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 Fuck that shit.
Oh my gosh. How far are we in the show? Okay, yeah, we're an hour.
We're almost an hour in. I can play that clip. Oh my god. All right, that was fun. We get to, our producer Glenn and Leo Cody put together these videos that we play. They are just knocking them out of the park.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we lost a bunch of people. Folks, come on. Let's talk about Founders Day. You ready?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, I'm ready. Founders Day.
This sounds great. I'm just saying it sounds. This is gonna be an awesome, exciting movie. I can't wait.
Founders Day is from director Eric Blomquist. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. It is about a series of ominous murders in a small town where an election is taking place. It's the tricentennial celebration of this city. That's 300 years that this city has been in existence. And there's a series of murders with a masked person who uses, oddly, Alan uses a gavel for the murders. Literally a gavel that has like a knife at the end of it. So I had to get my gavel out from Critics Court to demonstrate. This movie stars a bunch of people, honestly, that I haven't heard of. So if I named any of these actors, you will probably never have heard of them, but it looks like the casting was right out of a CW show. And so leave it there. There is, it really comes down to the plot of the movie is really, it's ripped out of Scream. A masked person is conducting these murders, and who is behind the mask and the robe carrying the murderous gavel, carrying out these murders. Halfway into the movie, I just didn't care. Unfortunately, I think that I just was not invested in these characters. I wanted to like this film because, you know what? Love a good horror film. But the lead character just didn't. Her name is Allison, and she has a girlfriend. It's not made a big deal in the movie, so whatever. It doesn't like stop to lecture you. It's just she has a girlfriend, and she's not as committed to this girlfriend as the girl would like, and which is tragic. We see this in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So it really comes down to a murder mystery. Who is behind the mask? Who is the suspect? This is a complete, Founders Day is a complete ripoff of Scream, the Scream movies, but it's not as cleverly written. I'm just going to say it. And there have been a lot of these films I've noticed lately where they'll get like someone in a mask. We've reviewed a bunch of these where it's someone in a mask who's behind the murder, but you've got to have a little bit more to the story than that, because then it's just sort of a rip of Scream. So then when you reveal who it is, and they reveal it about 90 minutes into the movie, I felt like it should have just ended there. And then the movie goes on for another 15 minutes. It's an hour and 45 minutes, should have been a tight 90 minutes. And the reveal, after the reveal, I just didn't care anymore. I wasn't as invested. The reveal of who's actually doing the murders, and then what the motivation is. And then it is, I will give it credit for this. It's kind of clever because it makes you go back throughout the rest of the movie to kind of re-see everything you saw from the murderer's point of view. So you see that there's a huge twist about how things were seen. And I did really like that. But then I think it should have ended right there. It's not, if you're a gore hound and you like blood, guts, and gore, you're really not going to get as much as you would like. And it's, you know, I was expecting to like it a lot more because I do like movies like that. Also, great poster for this movie. The poster is awesome looking. You know, it's like, oh, I'm sold. I'm in. Founders Day. But I expected more out of it. And so I can't recommend this movie. It's maybe between a 4 and a 5 for me. So if you're super into horror and you're looking for something new, sure, give it a shot. But honestly, I cannot recommend Founders Day. But I did like the gavel killings. I thought that was kind of neat.
And by the way,
judgment on
Film Threat gave Founders Day a 10 out of 10.
Well, who reviewed it? Is it Bob?
Bobby reviewed it.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, maybe the real rating of this movie is like a 7, between a 6 and a 7. You average. Bobby loves horror.
Yeah.
He almost every
And
horror.
he loves all horror. He loves all horror.
Well, but what I like is, here's what I like about Bobby's reviews is that Bobby Lapierre, writer, you should follow, like, just go to filmthreat.com and look at all the reviews that he writes. He writes about the smallest, like, little trauma movie. So I love that. And it's fair. Okay. Like, look, if you're, you know what, maybe he saw something in it I didn't.
Yeah.
I was disappointed, but I did like, there's this moment in the movie but it's 90 minutes into the movie where you see from the point of view of the killer how things happened, and it changes everything. I thought that was really clever, and then the movie should have ended there. It just goes on too long. It goes on for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think Bobby found it. The parts you thought were clever, he really liked. That's what I'm reading here.
Gotcha.
And he liked the cast. He thought the cast did a good job in selling their characters, and the movie is fun. That's kind of what he got out of it.
Well, Founders Day is a pass for me. Go to filmthreat.com, read Bobby Lapierre's review for a positive review of Founders Day.
10 out of 10.
He gave it a 10 out of 10. I give it like a 5 out of 10, 4 or 5 out of 10. But you decide. So there you go. All right. We got this is a comment from Gary Nerdrotic, said, yet no one can hear it. What, you didn't like my video? That was me. It's Gore in Chains. That's my new band. There you go. And Epic Mike said, I think Chris liked the show. Hey, Gary. Hey, Epic Mike. Love you guys. It's weird that you watch the show. It's weird because I watch you guys all the time. I watch Epic Mike on Tuesday night's Main Event.
We're constantly watching.
As I call it, TMNT, because I can never remember TM, and it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Tuesday night show. So there you go. Hey, One Punch Man Tolkien fan says, I saw Founders Day on Monday's Mystery Movies for $1. Lots of little kids in the theater. They thought it was going to be a kids movie. It is not a kids movie. It's R-rated. I won't say it's hard R, but it is an R-rated movie that no kid should see. Yeah, they really need to. I think they do let you know.
Yeah, they do advertise that this movie will be rated R, but you actually have to find the advertising to know that movie is going to be rated R.
That's really funny. And Lofty Pixels, you're late again. We already talked about I.S.S. You can rewind the live stream and watch the I.S.S. review. There you go. Hey, the Marvels had a good poster too. Oh my God, I love that poster. Yeah. That's the one that it literally looks like
Lady
a
part.
Very sexual image. Bush and Ryu Cat, if you liked Founders Day, you might like Leprechaun. See, it's fair. I liked, Thanksgiving. CD Stein 69 says, Thanksgiving, Founders Day horror movies. What's next? The Arbor Day Massacre? I really think they need to start branching out. Oh my God, that's great.
As long as, yeah.
Okay. Arbor Day. I mean, we're running out of holidays to make horror films out of.
Oh, we'll never run out of holidays.
Look, if you look, Thanksgiving is very good. It's a very good version of that type of movie. Founders Day was not, in my opinion, not a good version of that type of movie. And there you are. I guess Judgment Day was already taken, says Triple Threat 305. And Christopher Moonlight Productions says, what do you want to see more in horror in the future? I'm done with the slashers and end of the world, but I love monsters and alien infections. Where do I take them next? I think you look at what's in the zeitgeist. I think a horror film centered around cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Make a horror film called Cancel Pigs. Seriously. Like, that would be interesting because it's in the zeitgeist. I keep saying, if you want to make a movie that can resonate with people, that's popular, tap into like in the psyche of like what's happening in the world. And I do think that there's a lot of anxiety about cancel culture. And if you wove that into a horror film, I think that would be popular.
Yeah. I mean, you're essentially saying about things that people think but can't say.
Exactly. Hey, and Sons and Shadows gifted 5 Film Threat memberships. Well, get ready. If you look at the members tab, on every Friday, we post a new link to the Discord. So if you're a member, you will be, you get access to the Discord where you can continue to have chat conversations with members. And thank you, Ms. P Coffee, for posting that every week. I appreciate it. But also there are exclusive videos. I'm posting a bunch over the next couple weeks. These are videos that I took when I went to events related to award season. I've got a really interesting video from a Q&A where Steven Spielberg talks about how he got the job for The Color Purple. And it's a really interesting story. And I'm going to post all these videos just for members. So it's a lot of like, Alan, and you should post some of your videos too.
Yeah. I was going to ask, would it be counterproductive to do like a member Jackbox stream or something like that? I could do some movie related quiplashes. I don't know if that's.
What did you say? What did you just say?
Jackbox.
Jackbox. What does that mean? Jackbox.
Those are these internet party games, and we could do it just for members.
Well, I think what day are you doing it?
I haven't decided yet.
I'm busy that day. I'm busy that day. I can't do it.
Because you could do movie related stuff. You could even do stuff related on us and kind of roast us a bit.
There's going to be no roasting at all.
Everyone says that I should do another painting stream.
We're going to do we're going to do a bunch of stuff. You know what I got to do? I want to post a bunch of videos of my different collections of things I've been collecting since I was a kid. Star Wars, Batman. I have a really aggressive Dune collection I'm going to show off. So there's just so much like I can go through. I mean, I'm going through my collectibles the other day. I kind of rotate what's on display. And I'm like looking at this one thing. It's like, I've had this since like 1989. It's a Walt Disney action figure frozen in ice. And it was a custom made, and I've had it for 30 plus years. Why do I still have it? I just do.
Because maybe it's cool.
It's cool. So MK Solid 82 says Alan's interview with Lucy Lawless is great. There is a slight sexual tension.
You caught that, huh? By the way, Lucy Lawless and Chris Gore have the same hairstylist.
Really?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
You both have that just woke up look in your hair.
Yeah. Just woke up, or as I like to call it, it's the JBF hair. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me what
she
that
was
stands
like.
for.
I mentioned how much we were pushing Spine of Night, and she got really excited.
Yeah, well, I interviewed her for that. I don't know where anyways, we got to post that on the interviews channel. Christopher Moonlight Production goes on to say, I'm glad to hear you say that because that's what my next scripts are, but not so overt. But if I can get funding for a Cancel Pigs movie, I'm there. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely going to be an indie film, an indie budget, an indie production.
Ron Enriquez says, wish I could style my hair like Chris. Reminds me of Dennis Hopper in Super Mario Brothers. Yes, that was a compliment. Well, thank you for that. All right, we're going to pivot now. We're going to pivot, and Alan is going to talk about another movie that he saw that I did not see.
Prepare her for our pleasure. My wife hates that clip.
Oh, we're going to play it a lot.
I told her, Chris is not going to get rid of it, so get used to it.
Yeah, get used to that clip. I love it. Oh, my God. Okay, Alan, you saw a movie that I did not see.
Yes.
And it's
a re-release, let's be fair.
Well, yeah, it's playing at IMAX theaters. It's Queen Rock Montreal. It's a concert film in IMAX. Alan, what did you think of Queen Rock Montreal?
Yes. Well, if you're familiar, this has come out before. There was a dual series called Queen Rock Montreal and Live Aid. This is the 1981 concert that took place at the Montreal Forum in November of 1981. It's been transferred to IMAX. and I saw it last night. And let's just say I've been a relatively good fan of Queen. I wouldn't say I'm a super fan, but I do like their music. And this is probably the first time I've ever seen them actually perform live. And that was my interest in seeing this. And what I love about these 80s and the early 80s, mid 80s concerts is that there's very low production value. It's just a simple stage with lighting and four guys having fun on stage and singing and watching the crowd. Stop Making Sense was the exact same feeling. And so if you're a Queen fan and you want to hear the greatest hits, this is a great movie to see. But the bigger criticism should just come around that fact that it's an IMAX, and I believe there was some sound and audio upgrading done as well. And I would say overall it was fine. After seeing the redo of Stop Making Sense, this one fell far short of that in the sense of, and I'll tell you, it's basically you have the film looked really good, but still felt like a film print. But the sound, all the music, all the sound was up front on the screen, and in the background was the crowd. So that's there were moments where they did kind of play with the IMAX sound and give you that immersive feeling. But overall, I wanted an immersive feeling, and I didn't get that immersive feeling. And that's kind of what you're hoping for when you go to see something in IMAX. It just. It was just a great concert movie on the biggest screen you can get to. And so, yeah, if you're a fan of Queen, and this is definitely for you. But if you want to see innovations in concerts in IMAX, you're not going to get it with this one.
Well, it brings up a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are so many of these getting released?
Because maybe content, maybe the lack of content, the lack of films coming out.
No, that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is that so many of these are coming out now. The Stop Making Sense, Talking Heads film, the Queen Rock Montreal, because movie theaters don't have anything. I mean, look, I was at the AMC Burbank 16, normally packed. It was dead last night. I mean, the biggest movie probably, was Beekeeper's second weekend. Which I like The Beekeeper. I thought it was a lot of fun. I.S.S. was the new movie opening, the new big movie, and it was a pretty full screening. But then I snuck in to see Godzilla again, and it was packed. The theater was 100% full, and I was like, I'm just going to sneak in and watch like one scene. I loved it. It was great. I don't know why they just don't keep Godzilla in theaters going forward. It's really fantastic. But
I'll give you my it because of the upcoming Godzilla movie. I think there's a deal that they have to pull it by February.
Oh wow. Well, in any case, movie theaters, there's a lack of new movies to get people to get butts in seats, and I think that's why you're going to see more things like Queen Rock Montreal. I don't mind it. We're seeing like I bought tickets to see the 1984 David Lynch Dune. It's the 40th anniversary of David Lynch's Dune, and I'm seeing it in a theater in February. I bought tickets. I can't wait. But it just goes to show that fewer and fewer screens are for the big tentpole movies because there aren't as many of them, and so
Yeah. And worse is the studios are putting a lot of pressure on theaters to keep their movies in and run them for longer than what they're contracted for, and no one's coming to those theaters. They're forcing movies to use up their valuable space for movies that no one is seeing. The most recent example was I don't know if you remember, but Soul was re-released last weekend. And it made, I believe, $500,000 across the nation.
Yeah, it was in 1,000. So Soul, Pixar re-released Soul because it really didn't get a proper theatrical run. It came out during COVID.
It was a COVID film, yeah.
Yeah, and so they re-released it, and it tanked. It only made $400,000 on 1,000 screens. That's empty. It's empty. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And Disney was enforcing it has to run 2 weeks in one of your theaters for five screenings a day.
That's I mean, you know what? They'd be better off re-releasing Snow White. Re-release the classics
yeah.
in theaters. Do you know how huge Snow White re-release would be in a movie theater? And Snow White's like a 60-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's really short. They should consider re-releasing the classics. The recent films clearly have not turned into classics.
You want to know how Disney can make a lot of money fast and for very cheap? Re-release a restored version of Song of the South.
Wait, I want to go full screen for you to say this.
Yeah. Release a restored 4K version of Song of the South, and not only show Song of the South, but go to Disney Plus and make documentaries about it. Make a documentary about the filming or the animation of Song of the South, and better yet, make a documentary about the problematic nature of Song of the South. Just go right out there and talk and just let both sides present their cases for this movie. And Disney will make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And it'll cost them very little to do it.
I just think that we're not living in a time where we can have a two-sided conversation. We only can have a one-sided conversation on any topic. We only want to hear from this side only, and we want to suppress voices on the other side, so only one opinion gets out there. It's the mono conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's also
I had a different word in I don't know what I was doing. But I haven't had enough coffee yet, folks.
It's also this idea that for some reason the powers that be don't think we can think for ourselves, or worse, they're afraid that we can think for ourselves. And
that's the reality.
Yeah.
Let's talk some more movies. We got a lot to discuss today. Oh wait, we have some comments. My apologies. Let's get to the comments here. Starting with Nicholas Vargo for 999. Finally saw Godzilla -1 last week. It really is excellent. Also saw Soul for the first time, and I'm glad I waited for theaters. It's excellent. Also, Snow White is 83 minutes, not 60. Is it 83?
I don't think it's 83 minutes.
It's not 83. You know what? We're gonna solve this right now.
I know it's barely more than an hour.
It's just over an hour. Okay. We're looking it up right now because we're gonna settle this once and for all. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Oh my God, do you know how many versions of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves?
Oh, here we go.
1937. It is according to the. Yes.
Yes, you're right. I guess it's 83 minutes.
It's not.
That's weird. I don't remember. It can't be.
It's just over 60 minutes. The 83 might be like there's an intro or something. Yeah, they added some context to it.
Well, I am
the original movie. I'm gonna Google it now because I'm.
Yeah.
That's one of those things.
That's weird because I feel like
this is wrong. It's not 83 minutes. It is literally this.
Oh, that we're gonna.
This is really weird.
We're gonna get a J-Mode here where it's just a screenshot of you and I on the internet looking things up.
Yeah, we're just doing that. All right, we're going to table that for the moment, but I'm telling you, it's not. It says Tom Siebert says it is 83. No, the internet says it's 83. It is not an 83-minute movie. Go on your collection.
I'm going to Disney Plus, and we'll see what.
Go to Disney Plus, and okay, but make sure you're just all right. While you're doing that, I'm going to read more chat.
We're just showing the menu. We're not playing the movie.
It is 83 minutes. I own the Blu-ray. I don't think it is, man. Wow, I just found a Wild Hunter. Wow, I just found out that Ming the Merciless has his own theme written by Queen. Ing the Merciless needs a theme song too. Laura Buckles says, I found out years ago that when you play the record, Another One Bites the Dust, it says it's fun to smoke marijuana. Seriously, I was so freaked out. Is that true? Play it backwards. I mean, that's what she says. Rachel
Okay,
Zegler's Snow White
Here
will
we
feel like.
go.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up here.
Okay. Now press pause because start
No.
playing the movie.
Oh
Huh?
no.
What's it
Yeah,
say?
it's an hour and 28 minutes.
Hour and 28. I stand corrected. But my memory of that film is it's super short.
I don't
No,
know
but see, I wonder if it's like there's some intro or like a little like they do a mini documentary that pads the running time.
That's what I'm thinking. But
Because
maybe,
my memory of that movie is, God, this movie's short.
Yeah.
Come on, internet autism, take over and find this answer for us. Where's someone that'll help us with that? DK Gong, Rachel Zegler's Snow White will feel like 420 minutes. Aaron Taylor says Chris Gore handles being wrong very well. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think what you need to do is, here's the thing. My memory of this movie, and look, I owned the clamshell VHS one for kids, is that it's 60 minutes, but they always pad it because they don't want it to feel like it's super short with a documentary. So you can see the running times. All right.
Okay. The last location I can think of is Wikipedia, because they must be, usually they're pretty anal about that stuff.
Right. And then Nicholas Vargo goes on to say in another comment, Stop Making Sense is the only concert movie that makes you want to get up and emulate the moves of the band. I always try to see it in a theater where dancing is encouraged.
Yeah, and Peter Jackson, no, I think he did it. Someone did the audio redub of Stop Making Sense for IMAX, and it is incredible. They put instruments where they need to be at the moment on the screen that you see it. And the sound is just crystal clear.
Razorburn, member for 2 months, says Chris and Alan need to play a clip of themselves as Flash and Ming. Flash. Also, see you at Dragon Con, Chris. Meet up, hopefully. Hell yeah. I will give details about a meetup, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get on a panel at Dragon Con, but I already have a ticket that I purchased. Ron Enriquez says, I considered seeing this until I realized I already own it on Blu-ray. It's only 90 minutes too, but I'm sure it looks great in IMAX.
Yeah.
And then Chris and Alan just got Mandela affected, says Matvey Danilovich. Yeah, the Mandela effect is when like you think a fact is a true fact, and then in your memory, it's one way, but in reality, it's a different way. My memory of Snow White is that it is a feature-length Disney movie that's very short, and it's just over 60 minutes. What does Wikipedia say?
I'm still looking. I'm not seeing anything about the runtime. But yeah, I mean, the same thing with me. The first time I saw it, and I'll admit, saw it in a theater the first time. It felt short. It felt like it was over and done at a blink of an eye.
We got to investigate this.
Yeah.
But we have so many other movies to review, so we should probably move on. We may revisit this next week. Last question here before we move on to our next review. John Orchard, hey John, says, are you guys going to MegaCon? I am not.
You're not?
Yeah. I want to go? Yes. But I feel like there's so many people going. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. I'd be flying in from the West Coast into Florida. I don't know my way around. I think I'm going to sit this one out. No, I wouldn't have unless I rent a car. I don't know.
Orlando is not that difficult.
True. I'm just saying, look,
I've been to Orlando many times. I've never gotten lost in Orlando.
All I'm saying is I'm probably not going to go. So there you go. Would I like to go? Yes. But I'm going to save it for April. There's a meetup in April, and we're planning something really fun. That's all I'll say. I don't have dates. There is an April meetup in Las Vegas. I will be there, and Alan might be there.
If I can afford the hotel room, I will be there. I hear.
Well, you
Yeah.
can sleep on the rollout bed in my hotel room.
Yeah, or I could stay at Circus.
We'll talk about it. But April Vegas meetup, I'm definitely going to. MegaCon, unlikely at this stage. I was going just to see you. Now my day is ruined. Haha, I've rented a car. I'll drive you, says John Orchard. Look, if I change my mind, I'll let everybody know. As of now, I'm not going. Let's pivot and talk about another movie that is in theaters. Alan, you have seen this film. I have not. Let's talk about Double Down South.
Double Down South, yes. So,
Alan, tell us about Double Down South. This is an indie movie that's in theaters. Tell us all about it.
Yes, Double Down South is written and directed by Tom Schulman, who you may know as the writer of Dead Poet Society. This is a con artist film. It opens up in the Deep South. A hot young woman, Diana, played by Lily Simmons. She winds up at this pool billiard hustle establishment. And she's introduced to the billiard variant game known as Keno, where there's a board. It has holes in the board with numbers on them, and the goal is basically to hit the same number ball into the corresponding hole, and you win the game. And so if it's the 9 ball, you hit in the 9 hole, you win. But there's a double in the middle of it. That basically, if you can get a ball into the double hole, you double your winnings, and you can keep doubling it as you do it consecutively. But it's a hustle game. It's basically this game is won by the best pool players in the world, and it's a high stakes game. You're playing this game for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Diana comes into this establishment. Her boyfriend something happened to him that needs revenge, and Diana goes into the establishment hoping to earn enough money to basically bring back some resemblance of her boyfriend's life in terms of recouping the money that he lost. She is brought into this world of Keno. Kim Coates, you can see him in the background there. He runs the establishment. He sees that she has skills as a billiard player, and better yet, because she's a woman, a hot woman, she can become an attraction and be used to basically hustle and make a lot of money. And so he basically makes an offer to her, says that I'm going to stake you so that I'll cover every single one of your losses, and you can take a percentage of your winnings. And that's a way in which she can earn her money back, or earn enough money for her boyfriend. And but we find out that Kim Coates here is a brutal man. He's a mean man, but he's a ruthless man. But she kind of goes in league with him, and they try to make money together. I'll just end it there because going further will reveal a bunch of spoilers. This is a con game, the con movie, which means that there's more to the film than what you see. There's also a lot of hustle. The game itself is, if you've ever played pool, it opens itself to hustlers, and so there's an element of that where you are hustling in a game where people are known to be hustlers. And then I think from a dramatic and cinematic standpoint, what I like about this movie is the idea of status. In movies, in drama, what makes an interesting drama is the idea of the protagonist or the antagonist has high status, and then the corresponding character has low status. Because you can't have people with the same status. That's boring. You need to have this kind of variant of that. And so usually in a scene, you'll see someone who throws their weight around and the other one who just kind of follows along. And that's how you make a dramatic scene. But in con movies, everyone has high status. But now they're at various levels of high status. And that's the art of writing one of these, is that you get to play around with characters who are all alpha dogs, but now have to kind of relate to one another and one up each other. And so there's this subtle fight for status that continues on throughout this entire film. And so I'll say this: I did enjoy the movie. I did have fun with it. It's very low budget. The actors do a very good job in it. But when I think about, to me, the high standard for a con movie is The Sting. And
I was just gonna bring up. It's like, how does this compare to The Sting, which is the ultimate version of the movie that you described?
Right. It's The Sting is a lofty goal to reach. It's not. I don't think. I think even with the Usual Suspects, it hasn't even gotten that close to it. But it's The Sting is the gold standard. This is a very mid indie version of that, or that's where I would say it. So I think you'll have fun. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to change the genre, but it's definitely fun. And if you like looking at 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 Lily Simmons looking hot, this is a good movie.
All right.
I don't want to say too much about the con itself, but I thought it did it well. I mean, I figured it out about midway through the film, but I think if you're a fan of the genre, you may figure out early, but if you're just a casual fan, I think it'll carry you to the end.
Well, do you recommend Double Down South?
Yes.
Cool. So a mild recommendation.
Yeah, about a 7.
7. Okay, cool. Let's go to your comments and questions here, starting with Alan Horkin. Sounds cool, but hard to beat Paul Newman and Tom Cruise in The Color of Money. Color of Money is another great hustle film. Oh my God. Directed by Scorsese. It's so good. And the fact that and the movie The Hustler. So The Hustler starred Paul Newman. It was made in the 60s.
Yeah, Jackie Gleason and
Jackie Gleason. It's black and white. I love that film. There's so much going on in that film that's dark and underneath the surface, and they kind of play it off in that film. But the fact that he plays the same character years later in The Color of Money with Tom Cruise, who's sort of this, he's kind of like this dumb kid, and oh God.
I mean, that's early Tom Cruise too.
That's early Tom Cruise, but oh man. I love that.
Down South kind of is more like The Hustler than it is The Sting. But there's on it.
The Chicago Box, The Sting is on Netflix right now. And from Rumble, $8.24. This sounds like Pool Hall Junkies. Tom Siebert says Hustler is better than The Color of Money. I would agree with you. And I own The Hustler on Blu-ray. And a super chat here, 5 from Aaron.
By the way,
is that the laser disc?
No, this is the album. This is the Scott Joplin album.
Oh, that music. Oh my God. My dad used to play that soundtrack over and over. That piano score.
Mine too. Weirdly, mine too.
That's crazy. Wow. No, my dad just loved that score. So my memory of that music is me as a little kid in the 70s reading comic books and listening to that.
Yeah.
Oh man. And look, Tom Siebert goes on to say, I had that LP. OMG.
Oh yeah. No, I stole my dad's hi-fi and record system, and then I went and stole all his records, and that was in there.
Oh wow. So you're a bandit.
Yes.
Aaron Glendenning says, with a 5 says, good choice not to go, Chris. End up in the wrong part of Orlando. You might get mugged by canceled, unemployed Disney characters.
I'm more afraid of the door of the airplane getting blown off.
Oh my God. Have you seen how many airport accidents lately have occurred? There was one where a plane was on fire. Leaving the airport. It circled back and it was fine, but it was the exterior of the plane was in flames.
Yeah, I heard there was another story of a plane that went out of control, and the inexperienced co-pilot was frozen and just hitting buttons.
That happened?
I don't know if that's urban. I don't know if that's just a story that's out there, but I heard it recently, so I don't know how true that is.
All right.
God, it sounds true.
Air travel it's gotten crazy lately. The stories of incompetence of maintenance people. The plane on fire was in Japan. Is that true, Razorburn? Yeah, it was on fire, and then the pilot actually circled back and landed, and I guess everyone was fine, but my God, the image of this plane on fire was like out of a Michael Bay movie. It was crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, the stories that I'm hearing basically that goes to the fact that as a pilot, you have to have a high sense of what is it, focus, a high degree of focus on the job,
Right.
so you're not killing people. And
you're not scrolling through Instagram.
What?
You're not scrolling through Instagram or checking your
yeah, you're not distracted. You know, it's not a a time to relax for a couple of hours while you're flying an airplane. And that these young inexperienced pilots don't have that discipline, basically.
Right. Well,
yeah, so good luck getting to Orlando.
Yeah, I'm probably just not gonna go. So, all right, hey, a quick review here from Alan. We've got more films to review. Don't leave.
Alan Ing, how would you rank The Iron Claw among the movies of the year? Alan Ing, I'm calling you out, Alan Ing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely top 5.
It's top 5 of the year for The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw.
Yeah, it'll be.
I love that when you seem speechless.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like maybe we need to do a drunk 3PO type video with you, like doing nothing for, I don't know, just doing nothing. We'll just run it as a loop for hours. It'll be like Alan ASMR Alan or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. What
okay. A couple comments here, then we're moving on for another review. John Orchard, $10. Here's some money for Vegas. Thanks, John. Hopefully I'll see you in Vegas. Yeah. And then John Orchard goes on to say, don't remind me, I'm flying Spirit to MegaCon. I don't want to become one. What, a statistic? I think we're going to see what's happening in the airline industry is happening all over in lots of industries. I mean, I just noticed post-pandemic that the just level of quality of customer service has dropped. The level of quality of food at restaurants has dropped. Like, it's just sort of a, like, I'm just noticing it, everything from
quality of Disney animation has dropped.
The quality of Disney animation has dropped. So there you go. A couple things here. We're pivoting to more reviews. Benjamin for 5. Are you guys going to the Vegas Sphere? I hear the screen in there is amazing. Yes, if I go to Vegas, I will be going to the Sphere. Definitely going to check that out. And Paul Allen Brunotto says, I'm friends with Sarah Someti Michaels, one of the producers of Double Down South. Well, just got a really good review on Film Threat from Alan. So there you go, Paul. Pass that on. All right. Now, moving on to another film. Let's talk about Ava DuVernay's Origin. Origin is it's basically a biographical drama about a real writer. Her name is Isabel Wilkerson, and she wrote a book which became a New York Times bestseller called Caste: The Origins of Our Discontents. Ava DuVernay, of course, she directed the film Selma, which I thought was very good, not like spectacular, but I thought it was a very good film. She was nominated for an Oscar for her documentary called The 13th, about the 13th Amendment, which is also, it's on Netflix. I think it's a fantastic documentary. And Origin explores the issue of race, not just in America, but around the world. We meet Isabel. She has written one book and she's giving a lecture. We meet her mother, who is, she's in her waning years, having health issues. We also meet her boyfriend, Brett, played by John Bernthal. And Isabel Wilkerson is played by Anjanou Ellis Taylor. And I'm sure I may have pronounced that incorrectly. My apologies. And it basically follows the author as she is writing this book. and she wants to write a book about race because it's sort of kicked off by the Trayvon Martin's tragic murder.
Death.
And so that's kind of where the movie begins. And then she wants to explore the question. I mean, everything isn't racist, right? When you look at the world, you see this is racist and this is racist and this is racist. She's asking this question. Not everything's racist. Okay. I really want to explore where this idea comes from. And she begins to, in a very thoughtful way, explore the issue of race and how prejudice becomes seeded in a culture. And it takes her all the way to the Deep South and into Germany, where she looks at like, well, how did Jews become this lower class? And then how did the Holocaust even happen? What were the origins of it? And she wants to look at this in a thoughtful way and not a reactionary way, because she's tasked by she's tasked by her manager. She's given a task to write something about Trayvon Martin. She doesn't want to write it. It's like, everything's not racist. Things just happen. And then she begins to actually explore the idea. In the midst of this, her boyfriend dies tragically and her mother also passes away. She loses so many people close to her, and it kind of sets her on a spiral of just pouring herself into work as a distraction away from the personal tragedy that she's suffering. So she actually goes to Germany. She goes and explores these topics, and really comes down to looking at the caste system in India, and looking at how people are kind of convinced in a psychological way to like, well, you're less than, right? And then it becomes seated in the culture. This is what the film explores. This is a very rough film to watch. And I want to give kudos to Ava DuVernay as a director. She shot this film, is very low budget, and she shot it on film. Okay. She shot this movie on 35 millimeter film. I watched the credits. It's in there in the credits. And I admire that. It's also, the film feels, it is sort of biographical drama, but it also is something of this exploration, but it's also simultaneously partly feels like a documentary, because you'll see when she goes to Germany, she's reading books that are very rare. So she has to go to a library and, there's one copy of this book she's going through. So it's almost this, you're seeing sort of almost documentary film styles. It's also kind of surrealistic, where she sees herself in the stories that she's exploring. And one of the most brutal stories, and when I say brutal, you see images from the Holocaust. You see images of slaves on slave ships. You see horrific images from history of people that have been oppressed. And one of the most horrific stories is a little boy, like an 8-9-year-old kid. He's a little black child in the South. And this is when they had whites only pools, like only whites could go. They have the whites go in these pools and the blacks go in these pools. And these kids had just finished playing a baseball game. It was a hot summer day. And these young boys, and they're all white kids, and there was one black kid, and the one black kid was not allowed in the pool. Now you think, well, this is like, but you see it from the kid's point of view, and it's horrifying. And all the little white kids are like, why can't our friend come in the pool with us? We're just hanging out. We're having a fun day. We just played baseball. Let's go in the pool. It's, I don't want to detail what happens in that scene, but this boy is not allowed in the pool, and it's a horrific moment to witness, because you can tell that the kids are traumatized by this. They're traumatized by witnessing this thing. Here's what I want to say about this film. I think it's a phenomenal film. An exploration of race and caste systems that have been put into place throughout civilization. And it feels, sometimes the movie does feel like a lecture. It feels like this is a lecture from academia. And I think the intended audience that would benefit from seeing this will never go see this movie. So, and I could compare it to a film we reviewed a couple of years ago, and I had the same comment. The movie She Said, which is about the beginnings of the Me Too movement and the article in the New York Times that began the takedown of Harvey Weinstein and sort of kicked off the Me Too movement, was this series of stories in the New York Times. And I thought, well, this is a really phenomenal film. No one's going to see this movie. Unfortunately, I feel the same way about this film. I feel it's a very thoughtful exploration of race. But here's the thing. People who are actually racist in the real world don't go to see these movies. So what this movie is doing is preaching to people who already get this message. And in some parts of the film, I'll just say this, very hard to watch. Another movie this year that I saw that was also very hard to watch is Zone of
Interest.
Zone of Interest. I will never go see that movie again. It's brutal. And I almost feel the same way about this film. At a certain point, it becomes oppression porn, right? Like, I almost feel, and also I get this movie, was this movie made to change hearts and minds? Because I don't think this movie will do that. I think this movie will preach to progressives who will be praising it up and down. And there'll be a lot of people, not me, but some other people that will be afraid to criticize this film. So here's my critique of it. I think this film was really made to win Oscars. But if you really, really want to get to people on a mainstream level and have them rethink issues regarding race, you need to make an update of something like a Blazing Saddles. I feel that a more mainstream comedy would make concepts and ideas more palatable and more mainstream so that we can laugh together. There's nothing funny in this movie, by the way, nothing funny whatsoever. But I'm saying if you are committed to the message of this film and you want to see these ideas take root, you are only preaching to people who agree with this. If you could somehow make a modern update of a Blazing Saddles, more people will see that film. And so while and by the way, I think Ava DuVernay is wildly talented director. I mean, she had she was criticized for that
Wrinkle in Time
movie, which I just think is just not, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
I think you were doomed. Whoever made that movie was
She was under the thumb of Disney.
She was under the thumb of Disney, whatever. Here she makes an independent film where she gets to do whatever the hell she wants. And I think she knocked it out of the park. I also think that if she's committed to the messages in the film, that I think a more palatable version would be a laugh out loud comedy. Because this movie, after the after George Floyd and the racial reckoning in America, I don't think people are going to go see this film. Just like nobody went to see She Said.
Because you're saying we're biased against it all from the start.
Exactly. So I'm talking about the audience. And I'm not saying that anyone who doesn't see this movie or doesn't like it, I'm not saying they're racist at all. I think that's stupid. I hate that stuff. Okay. I'm saying they're tired of it. And I think the fact that we're seeing like this, the actual effects of DEI in America and how that's like upended workplaces. This is not a movie that I think is going to be widely accepted. It may even be completely ignored by the Oscars. I could be proven wrong. It could get this movie could get a Best Picture nomination, but
in January. It came out in January.
Well, I mean, in wide release. Now it's in wide release. Okay. This movie is now in wide release. So while I think that Ava DuVernay made a fantastic film, I just think it's not going to resonate. The whole thing is like,
it's not a moneymaker. That's what you're saying.
It's not a moneymaker, not going to and it wasn't made for a lot of money. So I mean, you can tell it was low budget, and I mean this as a positive. it's so, and I always would encourage that anyways. Like, I think it's more authentic if you go that route, but it comes off to me as oppression porn, and you're not going to convince. I mean, look, there have been so many movies made about race, and I can confidently say that not a single racist person saw a movie and said, I'm going to stop being racist today. That's stupid. Okay. That's ridiculous. What this movie does is it's presenting this argument. It made me actually very interested in the book.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me.
but I would look. So my feeling about this film is like Zone of Interest. This is a rough movie to watch, and the scene I'm describing with the boy at the pool with his baseball team is just heartbreaking. And I'll connect it to a story that happened to me in real life. Okay, my grandmother lived in Flint, Michigan, and I would visit my grandmother on weekends. Loved my Nana. This is my father's mother, my Nana, Leona Gore. Okay. So we would go visit my Nana, loved her, and she lived in Flint. Now, if you know anything about Flint, it's not very diverse, you know? Well, I'll just say this. She lived in a neighborhood where I think she was the only white person in the neighborhood, and whatever, right? Visit my grandma. We had so much fun. We go shopping. We do fun things, whatever. Nana, you know, you're getting, grandparents tend to love bomb kids. And I got a lot of love from my grandparents. One day I'm out with my cousins, Kyle and Craig, and we're hanging out in the front yard, and a gang of black kids came and beat the shit out of us. I was 5 years old. I have a vivid memory of this. Beat the crap out of the three of us, and it was like 10 against 3. So got the crap beat out of us. I was pushed to the ground. I was kicked. My Nana brought us in and sat the three of us down. And I thought it was very smart of her to do this. She asked us, she went to each of us and she says, I want you to name an important black person from history, someone that you know, someone that you admire. And I loved the Jackson 5. I said, Michael Jackson. Okay. My cousin says Martin Luther King. And we had a whole conversation about great black Americans. She knew that this traumatic event could have instilled some racism in us or prejudice. And she wanted to end that by having a whole conversation about all the good black people that she knew, because she knew her neighbors and she knew everyone in that neighborhood. And I'll never forget that. So that was an early experience of mine. And there you are. So I don't think that I don't think children are inherently born racist. It's a learned thing. It's just learned. And I do like that this film explores everything isn't racist. It's just not. There's something else here. There's another layer to that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is it's not racism is not black and white. It's everywhere. I mean, everyone who lives in a tribe of some kind has something against the other tribe, and whether it be cultural, whether it be skin color, whether it be national borders, we're kind of programmed that way to find safety with those who are like us and distrust those who are not. And the part of humanity is about overcoming those mistrusts and overcoming those borders. I mean, from what you're telling me, I'm going to see this movie now.
Yeah. I wanted to have a discussion about it with you. Just the timing didn't work, but like it's.
I'll say this. Quite frankly, I didn't want to see this movie.
Really?
It was exactly what I think everyone thinks about this movie. That it is a lecture about how bad white people are.
It's a lecture, but it's not. It's a little more nuanced than white people bad. It's more nuanced than that. Yeah. But there's a lot of bad white people in this movie, and there are also good white people, like John Bernthal's character. Like you meet this couple that are an author. It's a flashback, but you meet there is a balance. Yeah. I'm just saying that because of the like you said, sorry, Al, you said you didn't want to see this movie, and I'm telling you, most people are probably not going to see it. And then they did this thing where they do this little mini interview with Ava DuVernay, and I actually didn't like the interview. I've seen her speak before. She's a very inspiring speaker, but in this conversation, she just talks about like the casting and stuff. And I'm like, get into the ideas. She doesn't talk about the ideas in the film. She talks about making the film. That's fine. I want to hear about the ideas.
Yeah.
She didn't really talk about it. And she does a thing that's right out of Sound of Freedom. So she does this little, like, she does this interview. It's at the very end of the film after the credits. And then she asks people to go to a website and give money so other people can go see the movie, which is exactly what Sound of Freedom did.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like I said, I don't mind a movie that brings up ideas I don't necessarily agree with. What I want to see in those movies, and I'm not saying I don't disagree with this movie. I'm just saying, you know, if I'm going in knowing that I might have my beliefs challenged, I at least want it done in a thoughtful way, one that makes an attempt to put themselves in my shoes for a moment and then present their side of it and then know where I'm coming from and not make assumptions about me that aren't true. And that's the sense that I'm getting from your description of this, is that it is going to it's going to make you think. It's going to make you challenge your beliefs, but it does it in a sensitive and somewhat intelligent way, an emotional way that I'm interested in seeing it. You know, but I get why people don't want to see it. I mean, I obviously do. The way it was marketed, the way it was described, this movie is being promoted. I didn't want to see it. The other thing is that every movie like this leading up to this movie has been lectures, has been, let me tell you why you're a bad person. Why would I pay money to go see a movie that tells me that I'm a bad person? I want to see a movie. If you think I'm a bad person and you want me to see your movie, prove to me that you understand my viewpoint, where I'm coming from. And if you could do that, I will go see your movie. And it sounds like that's this movie.
If I told you that this was the best film that explores race, would you even want to see it?
I would.
You know what I mean?
It was good and it was fair. It was good and it was fair. I will see it.
I think that you could look at this film and say, I don't think this is fair.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene with Nick Offerman. I'm not going to ruin it. But
does he play a racist?
Well, he's wearing a MAGA hat. Okay. And I just sort of rolled my eyes. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Oh, you just ruined the movie now.
But then he has a very then he has a very thoughtful conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just a guy that comes to her house to do some work on her house, and they get into a chat. Like, she's trying to figure it out herself. Yeah. So we're kind of on her journey, and she's basically saying not everything in the world is racist. That's like a knee-jerk, dumb reaction to things. But where does it come from? And it's an exploration of I don't want to simplify it, but she really looks at the caste system in India, and there are certain castes. We did an article in Film Threat in the 90s called the Hollywood caste system, where we ranked like where people stood on the ladder in Hollywood, with interns and PAs at the bottom, and then executives at the top, and celebrities. And we kind of like, this is how Hollywood works. And the story was inspired by the fact that, like, I would go to this restaurant that was right across from where we worked, and I would get seated based on what they perceived my status to be in Hollywood. Well, and I'm just like an editor of a movie magazine, Film Threat, right? We went across the street, went to this restaurant. The restaurant was Kate Manalini's. No one remembers that restaurant but me. Anyways, really great fun. I like that restaurant. They had great sourdough bread. Anyway, so I go to this restaurant.
I think the idea of the caste system is correct, and as to why we treat other people who are not like us differently. And by not like us, I'm talking politics, I'm talking race, I'm talking culture, I'm talking gender.
Right.
And it's because we put ourselves in this caste system where we are angry at the people above us, and we look down and treat miserably the people who are below us. And wherever you fall along that it will decide how you treat, how you're perceived on that level, and how you treat people above and below you, or how you consider people who are above and below you. And I think there's a lot of truth to that idea of the caste system as the root to a lot of the racial problems we have in the world today.
Yeah. In any case, I'm curious to see how this film does. I'm curious.
It won't do well.
the
But
way it's being
if
marketed.
it's as cheap as you say it is, it'll probably make money.
But I'll say, I think the movie in the end will end up making money because it was made inexpensively, and I think that added to the authenticity and the style of film. I that was a positive that it was made inexpensively. So that's smart. I think that's very smart, right? It's not like making a movie like Bros for $50 million and then wondering how come it didn't do well at the box office. This movie was made inexpensively. It will make its money back. I'm confident of that. But will it be a huge hit? I honestly do not think so. And I don't think it will have the intention of this film is to spread the ideas in the film. But I think that's the intention. I don't think it's going to achieve that. It was made to win awards, and on that, it's possible that it will succeed.
Yeah.
Let's go to your.
I'll just say because it came out in January, I don't think it's gonna win any awards.
Shall see.
That's why you say for January instead of it should have been out later in the year.
We shall see. Let's go to your comments and questions here, starting with Albert Nada Retro for 2. That's not how my family would have handled it. Oh, you're talking about what happened to me. Yeah. My grandmother, my Nana, just wanted to make sure that we were okay. And she was really, and first of all, by the way, I love the Jackson 5. When I was a kid, I was in the Jackson 5 fan club. I had all the little Motown records, which I played until they probably wore the vinyl. Like, I watched the cartoon, the Jackson 5 cartoon. And I just loved Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. Now, when Michael Jackson went solo, I did not like Michael Jackson solo. I actually was like, I thought you're betraying your brothers. Tito, Jackie, Marlon.
Jermaine,
how dare you do that, Michael? I felt like when Michael Jackson went solo, I was angry at him because I thought you're betraying your brothers. And I thought that the music was way cooler with the Jackson 5. Yeah. So.
And by the way, when I was a kid, I was beat up by both black and white people. So there's some sort of equality there.
Well, there you go. I'm going to go through. There's an unrelated super chat. I will get to that, Fear the Turtle 21. But I want to say thank you to Andrew Cram for becoming a member. We appreciate that. Let's start with we're going to start from the bottom here. We're going to go through as many of these comments as possible. From Rumble, Lord Shax, Alan hated watching the Hollywood Squares game show. There were always people above and below others talking smack.
Yeah. I mean, that's the perfect example of the caste system. Hollywood
Tom
Squares.
Siebert says Wikipedia says budget was 38 million.
Yeah.
Don't trust budgets reported budgets always. But 38 million, yeah, probably about right. But what I'm saying is this movie wasn't made for $100 million. It was made for 38. I'll bet it makes its money back based on how they're marketing it. And Tom goes on to say, I'm wondering if there is a massive trolling from Chris Gore because the more and more he raves about it, the less watchable it sounds. No. What I'm saying is, look, two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. This is a very excellent film that is not going to accomplish the goal of changing hearts and minds. That is what I believe. It also may or may not get nominated for any Oscars, and it may be a bomb at the box office in the same way that She Said was also a very good film about Me Too that nobody wanted to see. And this is a very good film that explores issues of race that I don't think people want to see. A film that could explore race that a lot of people would see would be Blazing Saddles Part 2. A lot of people would want to see that. Starring Dave Chappelle. If I told you want to see Origin directed by Ava DuVernay, or do you want to see Blazing Saddles Part 2 starring Dave Chappelle? I know what movie I would want to go see if given the choice. Mm-hmm. And so it's not a troll. I'm just being honest. I can only be honest here. Rock Bottom, John Bernthal is Jewish. Makes sense. Corky is chilling. People are sick of being labeled racist or an instaphobe. People are sick of the double standard. 100%. That's why people are probably not going to go see this movie. People are tired of it. People are tired of DEI. They're tired of this. They're tired of, and I feel like the argument that's given in the movie is kind of one-sided. It's kind of one-sided. So it's
sure, but that may be true. What I care about is how they treat the other side, ultimately. And in terms of whether people see it or not, or will it be successful, or will it find its true place in the conversation of racism? It's just like if Superman Legacy is the greatest Superman movie ever made, the problem is that it's tainted by everything that led up to it.
John says people are tired of watching depressing things that happened decades or hundreds of years ago. Same reason people aren't watching World War II movies and such anymore. Where are the fun movies? And Akanika says, I mostly watch fun movies or escapist movies. So escapism. So totally agree. Good comments there. Appreciate that. Here's what I'll say is, I had a thought and I'm just...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say that there's a war
Right.
currently being waged right now about religion and about culture. And
I'll just say this.
Say that this idea happened a long time ago. It still happens today.
Here's a point. Here's a point I really wish I had made in the review. I'm sorry I forgot this. I actually took notes of what I wanted to talk about. I forgot one major point I wanted to make. We spend so much time talking about racism and talking about the past that we do not spend enough time patting ourselves on the back about how great things are now as compared to the past. Do you know how many millionaires are in America who happen to be black? A lot. When you look in the arenas of entertainment, there have been more opportunities giving to black Americans, and no one is stopping anyone from being successful in that arena. If we spent as much time talking about how far we've come and how good things are now as compared to the past, rather than constantly looking at the past and look how bad things are, look how bad things are. I get it. It's much better now. And why don't we celebrate that? Why don't we celebrate that? We need to celebrate that rather than constantly looking at, yes, there were racist people in the 50s and there were certain pools that people didn't go to because of their skin color. Well, guess what? We solved racism because look at college today with separate graduation ceremonies. That stuff needs to be called out. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that we're sliding back into our racist
60s
past.
segregation. And
60s segregation. It's back, baby, but it's in 2020s. Morons in academia that are running things. Patrick,
yeah, I'll say, I mean, quite frankly, I wish when I graduated from college that I graduated today than I did in the mid 80s, or I'm sorry, the late 80s, because the opportunities for me when I graduated from college were much smaller to do what I wanted to do. To even do this, my ability to do this was not there compared to if I had done it. If I graduated from college 5 years ago, I think my paths, the choice of my paths would have been much different than it was in the 90s.
ADellis24 says Ava DuVernay blocked me on Twitter because I called Wrinkle in Time a financial flop. Well, that's just a fact, unfortunately. I mean,
well, some people don't like facts.
John Manling says I'm already checked out for this movie. I've had enough of these race lectures exploration. That's first of all, fair John comment. Manling has the comment of the day, and let me tell you why. I like the film can exist and can be very good, and no one wants to see it. And you are right, John. People have grown tired. So John Bernthal brings it every time, and he brown bags his lunches. Good dude, says Z. Yeah, super nice guy in real life.
And his uncle is Kurt Angle.
Well, there you go. Womp Biscuit says, interesting. I'm no religious person, but I think Jews first became second-class citizens in Egypt way back, and it went from there. But right now, it doesn't seem there to any large extent.
Yeah.
Jericho Leon says, this movie makes you see depictions of real racism and hopefully enables the viewer to make the distinction between real racism and fake woke racism. Yes, Jericho. Red French Moon. Honestly, I don't mind lecturing movie if it's on something like Origin. It bothers me when it's Star Wars. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, you're going in with this expectation anyways. You're absolutely right. Tyler W. kind of sounds like this movie exists for the purpose of self-righteous self-flagellation. Partially. John Manling agreed, Chris, at least make it creative. Triple Threat 305. Truth is best ingested through comedy.
Mhm.
Yes.
Someone wrote a book like that. Yeah.
Arnak Kitty 83. The previews made it look like self-flagellation for people that see racism everywhere. Yep. Anarkitty. Is Anarkitty 83 your Twitter also? She has such a hilarious, she's on point with the memes. Doc Savage, the irony is these types of movies need to be seen and digested by the ones who make them. Yeah. Thank you, Doc Savage. Brock Samsonite, as a white person who usually supports these kinds of movies, I'm tired of having to sit for 2 to 3 hours and allow myself to be called a bad person just to make millennial BIPOCs comfy. That was pretty much the audience, you know. But you know, look, I thought it was at least it went a layer deeper, right? And for that, I give it a lot of credit. JTPRX, 2 words that should not be together: oppression and porn.
It kind of kills the mood.
Yeah. From Paulie from Latino Slant, a very good friend of mine in real life. Anjanou Ellis Taylor is incredible to watch at times, but again, her character becomes a walking one-sided protester demanding you devour the trauma porn she is lecturing. From my review. Bingo, Paulie. So Paulie saw it because he look, I was hanging out with a group of people who all love the movie, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I love the movie. I have some criticisms. And then I talked to Paulie. We had a text exchange, and I was like saying, 2 things can be true at once, right? Like, but I do think it's oppression porn for progressives. But that's not going to be in the quote on look, I'll predict this. It's going to be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Thanks, Paulie. Love you, man. Big Worm for 10. I'm behind. Not going to see I.S.S. in theaters due to the I have a wife scene. If you want to communicate she's gay, he just says, what about you? She says, my wife. They'll get rental from me. I mean, it's over fairly quickly. It's just the movie kind of stops to have this whole moment where Chris Messina's character is like the whole I have to apologize and bow to your feet, and also the fact that she is a nothing bad's gonna happen to her. You already know from the casting, and I mean, it's if you rent it, you won't hate it. It's fine. Jim, thank you for that. Very generous. Jim T, who's a member, movies outside of the narrative will happen outside of Hollywood. It's just what I'm saying is if your goal is to have a real conversation about race, this sounds like a weird thing to say. Make it funny. Make it fun. Blazing Saddles Part 2 starring Dave Chappelle. Let's do it. Let's laugh about it. Let's drop some truth bombs.
By the way,
I don't always agree with everything Dave Chappelle says, by the way. Yes.
It's 81% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, interesting.
It's certified fresh.
Harry Anders, a member, says Alan the colorblind allowed everybody to take a swing at him. A true anti-racist.
Yes. I was an equal opportunity victim.
Want Biscuits, great point, Alan. Having your beliefs challenged in a civilized way is ideal, but incredibly rare. Most of us are at each other's throats.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's only on Twitter, but in real life. And thank you, Want Biscuits. Always like your thoughtful commentary. Bill S. Preston, Esquire. Racism isn't the proper response to racism, but Duvernay has argued for racism against white people as a proper response to racism against black folks. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of people have suggested that that's become a popular opinion. And there's just a lot of bad ideas that are out in the world right now. Tom Siebert, what about American Fiction? Doesn't that kind of fit the bill? American Fiction is a much better movie that deals with race, and it's funny. The only thing I could have done without, we were getting this conversation yesterday because all of us have finally seen American Fiction, and everyone was talking about like the family drama was just who cares. It was all the stuff related to the book and his career as a novelist.
I love the family drama though.
Oh, I hated the family drama.
Oh, I loved it.
And I love Sterling K. Brown. That actor is fantastic.
I mean, the whole point was because the family drama kind of takes the wind out of any self-righteousness that Monk had in himself, and it was also, exposed a lot about his feelings about race, and and so it wasn't. Yeah, in the case of this, he wasn't the hero that was right. He was the one that had a really good point and had to struggle through that point. I think that to me in that movie, though, it was that conversation between him and Sintara at the end when they talked about how they wrote basically the same book, but how she saw it as a masterpiece and he saw it for what it was, which was complete bullshit. And it was
That's what I love about the film. I mean, and there's that one scene where they're voting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give it away, but there's a scene where they're voting on what should be the best
book of the year,
book of the year or whatever it was. And that is the greatest scene in that movie. It's just, that's the point of the movie. This is how I do believe that satire is a better way to discuss complicated ideas. Look at the Monty Python, whenever they've discussed a topic, there's a clip going around about sex from Monty Python where one of the characters talks about identifying, I'm a woman now. I can give they just had this whole conversation. This is from Life of Brian, Monty Python was that movie made in the 80s?
No, 70s.
I saw it
late 70s, I think.
Are you sure? I saw it in the
around
theater.
around there. It's like
around there.
80s.
All right,
80s.
I'm gonna look it up.
Because it makes a difference whether it was before 1980 or just after 1980.
I'm looking at 1979. All right. Wow, fine, Alan. Look, but American Fiction is, I feel like, the better way to deal with it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And Patrick.
The scene where
go
they're changing the name of the book from My Pathology to Fuck.
Right.
The greatest scene of white fragility you will ever see in the movies.
Oh my God. And Patrick Lemire, we're going to end it with this. Well, we have a couple comments here. Patrick Lemire says, I think Morgan Freeman had it right. And I agree.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, by the way, who's joining us on the show, who's going to be joining us. Just a reminder, Tuesday, we are doing a live reaction to the Oscar nominations. Alan and I will both be there.
With the announcement of your Oscars nominees, here are your very tired hosts, Alan Ng and Chris Gore.
Okay, we're going to do the show in our pajamas. I'm being serious. We're going to do the show in our pajamas.
I'm not doing the show nude. That's right.
We'll do a nude show one of these days. If you're ever on Camelcast, they make you get naked. Fear the Turtle 21 for 10. Unrelated, but we saw the Frozen Broadway show in DC last week. Not a Disney fan these days, but they can still put on a hell of a Broadway show. Highly recommended. 7-year-old nephew also had a blast. Well, that's great. Yeah, no, I you know what? I saw the Lion King, the Broadway version. I saw it at the Pantages in Hollywood. Fantastic. That's a great play.
Because I had this discussion regarding the D-Files, the upcoming D-Files, and why it all fell apart at Strange World. And I mean, if you think about it, Encanto, average story, but it's the music that makes Encanto.
Right.
Frozen 2, not a great story, but the music of Frozen 2 is what elevates that movie.
Wait, Bush and Ryu Cat for 2 says, please read my previous comment, Lips. What is the previous comment? I'm sorry, Bush and Ryu Cat. I don't understand what that means. My apologies. We'll put a chat. You don't need to super chat. We'll put it up. Patrick Lemire says, I want to see Hong Kong Cafe, a movie based on Alan's grandfather, booking punk rock into his restaurant. Unfortunately, this movie doesn't exist.
There is so my cousin is working on a documentary. And the other thing is my grandfather did not book. There were people who approached him to do punk music at the restaurant, and they were the bookers. But at that time, Chinatown they were so desperate for business that they would try anything, and punk rock was one of the things they tried.
That's great. Okay, so your cousin is working on a documentary?
Yes.
Well,
and when it comes out, I'll let people know.
Should we have your cousin on the show to do an interview?
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Why not?
I don't know how they're planning on promoting the movie, so we'll see.
Do they need help with anything like release or anything?
Yeah. Let's just say The offer's
How about
out
get
there.
it made first?
Yeah. Hmm?
Get it made first.
Yeah, it's almost done. It's almost done.
Okay. And I'll say this. So next Tuesday, remember, early live stream. We're going to be doing that. Wednesday, our normal Hollywood on the Rocks. But we're going to be talking about Sundance and Slamdance. By then, Alan and I will have seen some of the movies. So all the movies we were going to talk about today from Sundance and Slamdance, we're going to push to next week, Alan.
Okay.
We're gonna wrap. I mean, we've already gone. We normally do a 2-hour show, so we're gonna talk.
Let me just say, you can buy a virtual pass for Slamdance for $50. That will allow you to see all the films coming out of Slamdance.
I actually have the program for Slamdance, and they put their past stuff. Slamdance does such a great job. Slamdance does such a great job of supporting their filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I think more than any other festival of its size. Here's slamdance.com. You can, I really want to see the panels. So you're getting like a glimpse of it, reimagining the film festival. We're going to talk about that next Wednesday. Yeah. All the festival stuff, we're going to table until next week. But if you can't attend, you can get a virtual pass. It's $10 and you can just watch all the movies. It's basically like a streaming service that you get for 1 month and then you can just watch the films.
Yeah.
You're
essentially subscribing to the Slamdance channel and
for 1 month.
Yeah, and all the festival films will be on the channel during the festival itself.
Yeah,
duration of the festival.
So we have 3 big shows. Our Oscar nominee show, our Wednesday show is going to be film festivals. Our Friday show is our Dune Spectacular. Alan and I will have seen footage from Dune Part 2. We're going to be talking about all the bad asylum movie or bad, like low budget Dune ripoffs. I'm going to show you a video of my Dune collection. Not making that up. And it's just going to be because no movies are opening a week from today. Actually, I think there's like 1 Indian movie opening. And then after that, it's going to be Argyle following week. So we're trying to make the best of it. Hey, final super chat here. Dropped in hot from Nicholas Vargo for $4.99. Sorry if I made you look bad today regarding Snow White. You didn't make me look bad. I don't care. I simply know my movie runtimes very well for the most part. Accept this compensation. It's like, dude, no, not necessary. But like maybe I'm wrong. You know what it is? I'm wrong. It's Pinocchio that's short. Now I'm looking it up.
I know Dumbo is short.
It's Dumbo, one of the early, like the original 1941 Dumbo running time. Let's look it up. Oh my God. It's
an hour 4 minutes.
An hour 64 minutes is Dumbo. Okay, so I got it mixed up with Dumbo. There's also, what was the other one? Pinocchio? 1940, Pinocchio, running time.
Oh my God. Bated breath here.
Yeah, I can't find it. Where is it? Running time should be like the right next to it. Where am I? Okay. Hour and 28. Okay. It was Dumbo. I got Dumbo mixed up with Snow White. My apologies.
Yeah.
But
I think the story behind Dumbo was Disney rushed it because he had 2 tentpole movies and he needed something in the middle of it, and Dumbo was the one, and they rushed the movie. Although it has one of the most emotional scenes in the middle of it with Dumbo and his mother. It's a remarkable film to have been. It's done so quickly, and yet you wish couldn't even come close to it.
Now, Dumbo, does the classic Dumbo have a warning on it because of the crows?
Yeah.
Does it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because of the crows.
Because of the crows. That's right. I think Jungle Book is the same way too.
There's a warning in Jungle Book?
No, because those vultures were white. So maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, well, there you go. Anyways, just want to say next week is going to be a lot of fun. Please join us. Our live streams are now attracting A lot of people watching us live, and we appreciate that. I want to say thanks to our mods today, Chicago Box, Polly from Latino Slant, love you, man, and Ms. P Coffee. She always takes care of us. She keeps Alan in line.
Yeah,
And
I'm the one.
Glenn Brown, our producer. Bambi is 70 minutes. See, Bambi's another short one. Thank you, Director Mink. Bambi is 70 minutes. I think I might know Director Mink in real life. It's very possible. But Tuesday, for One Punch Man Tolkien fan, Tuesday is Film Threat, super underrated, says Equity Group. Well, thank you for that. What time Tuesday?
Yeah, I know.
5 a.m. Pacific time.
No, hold on. We're starting.
We're starting. No. We're actually gonna. We're starting at 5 a.m. The announcements are 5:30 a.m.
Right there. Okay. All right.
So we're just gonna start 5, and we'll give predictions. We'll have fun there, and but yeah, that's it'll be. Hopefully, we'll have a graphic up. So yeah, and Lord Thoth, thank you, Lord Thoth, for your service. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We're going to continue to build the website. We've got some stories coming up that I think you're going to love, including the next installment of the D-Files. Cannot wait for that. And there you are. This weekend, I will be watching the Detroit Lions, my Detroit Lions, hopefully win their second playoff game. The division matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. I was actually sad for that because my good friend Mark Bell is a huge Eagles fan, and if the Eagles won, they would have fought Detroit, would have battled Detroit. So there you go. So this weekend, it's raining in LA. I think I'll stay indoors, and I'm going to be watching football all weekend, probably while I organize my DVDs. I like to alphabetize things. Alan, what do you have coming up this weekend?
This weekend I'll be doing my job, and that is attending Sundance and Slam Dance virtually. So I'll be watching.
Oh, that's right.
Films.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, you could help. You could watch a few.
I am gonna watch a few
things or whatever they have.
Yeah, no, there's one I cannot wait. I haven't seen it, but I just got the screener this morning. I sent it to you and Michael Talbot Haynes.
All right. Yeah, who saw She Is Conan. But yeah, hey, let's not forget that Magazine Dreams came out of Sundance last year. Can't wait for that one to get
a movie that doesn't have a distributor. It was dropped by Fox Searchlight.
Yeah.
There you are. All right. That wraps it up for us. Thank you so much. We will see you Tuesday morning. Alan?
Let's get out of here.